So thanks for tuning in to this video about electricity. So if you're anything like me, you'd be thinking, why on earth would I want to listen to, of all things, a video about electricity? Surely it's not the most exciting topic that I could be putting my mind to today. What I didn't really make clear in the video that hopefully you're about to watch is that if you're thinking about traveling or moving to a place like Paraguay, the issue of electricity is one that you really want to think about. In recent months, I've had a number of friends who have lost thousands of dollars worth of equipment due to electrical strikes and electrical surges. I've heard about pool devices that have catastrophically malfunctioned. I've heard of many people who have had minor shocks, and I myself have had a really serious electrical shock from a plug, and it really gave me a jolt. So it made me really think about the fact that it's something that we don't think anywhere near enough about. And since we've been traveling, it's been a constant issue for us from Nicaragua, Guatemala, and through to Paraguay, where we are now. The issue of dodgy electrical connections has been a constant for us. And when I think about it, it's something that we often discount when we travel from the countries that, for example, I've come from. You just tend to put your devices in and everything works. And seldom do you find yourself really thinking or worrying too much about the safety of yourself, your family, your devices or your data when you're in those sort of countries. Things just tend to work as they should. So when you move or travel through South and Central America, we bring the same sort of attitude with us, but it's a very different kettle of fish. But the other thing that I want to emphasize is that when I'm talking about anything related to Paraguay, whether it's their standard of electrical networks or their building standards, whatever it is, I'm not trying to throw shade on the country. We need to keep in mind that the one thing I really do appreciate about this country is that the government doesn't insist on standards that the people can't afford. They don't hoist standards on the country in a way that puts people into either crippling debt or an inability to pay their electrical bill. The good news is that in Paraguay, people can generally afford to put on their fan or their air conditioning. There's no real stress when it comes to access and affordability of electricity. And a large part of that is because the standards are pretty basic, and it would be easy for the country, or at least the government, to turn around and say, well, you know, the standards should be much higher, so we'll do what a lot of countries do. We'll hire a whole lot of technocrats, enforce standards, and you'll have the best electricity that your money can't buy because you can't afford it. And we see that in a lot of Western countries where people are having to decide between whether they turn on their heater or cook their dinner that night. It's ridiculous. So when I look at that in contrast to Paraguay, I think, well, there are some improvements to be seen here, but at least the people can afford to access the electricity. It is cheap, and it is just a matter of maybe people coming here, foreigners, bringing a different attitude and understanding about electrical standards. These are the sort of things that foreigners can positively influence when it comes to moving to Paraguay. It will be a gradual thing, but over time, hopefully, we'll make those inroads and the country will be for the better. Also, when we're talking about electrical safety, it needs to be kept in mind that many of the places that we've lived in where there's been dodgy plugs or connections, many of them have been owned by foreigners. So it's not just a Paraguayan thing. But nevertheless, whether we're talking about your own personal safety or the safety of your appliances or data, the issues relating to electrical safety are ones that we all have to either be mindful of or, unfortunately, in some cases, pay the price. So here I am in the park in Qroo with my friend Ernesto. How are you, buddy?
Thank you, I'm fine. Hola. Hola a todos. I'm very fine. Thank you for inviting me, Adam.
Thank you, man. The reason why I wanted to talk to you, besides the fact that It's always good to talk to you about anything, man, but
Thank you.
in particular, in a lot of the videos that I have done in regards to houses, I bang on about electrical problems.
Yes.
And it's something that I notice a lot here, but it's not my area of expertise. I know that you've got a lot of experience in electrical work. You've arrived here. I've known you and your family for some time now.
Yes.
And I understand you have quite a bit of background in the area. So firstly, I just wanted to just get you to introduce yourself so people know what you're about. And I just wanted to ask you a few things about what I've noticed in some of these houses and if I'm just sort
Yes, of course.
making it up or whether it's something to be concerned about.
Yes.
So approximately how long have you worked as an electrician?
I would say around 20 years
Okay.
in totally.
Yeah. Okay, so you've been around the block, you know
Yes.
what it's about, and you're still here, so you must have done something right, I guess.
It looks like, yes.
Yeah. So in the time that you've been here in Paraguay, before I talk about some of the things that I've noticed,
Yes.
what have you noticed about the general state of electrical work here, and in particular in regards to house installations?
Yeah, I saw that they tried to make it nice looking, but there's no protection. I mean, we have only 2 wires, 2 holes to tell this. We have no grounding, for example. Grounding, you know, that's why even when I started here to come in a hotel, I worked on computer. So I would get electricized, you know, like a small shock. Not that strong, but it's enough to feel uncomfortable.
I've been quite badly shocked since being here. Just a few weeks ago, I plugged something in to a device and it really gave me a serious jolt.
Yeah, this is dangerous. This is really dangerous. I mean, it depends then, just maybe also small information. It depends what shoes you have on. Is there water there, or are you barefooting on water? You could really have a very harm problems. Die at the end.
Yeah, totally, man. So with that being said, the big question that people have, apart from the fact of not wanting to get electrocuted, is how can they protect their appliances and in particular their computers and things like that. It's obviously a really big question that everyone's got. I think sometimes people under misapprehensions and misunderstandings about the degree to which maybe a UPS may or may not protect them. So can you tell me, I've got laptops, a number of laptops in my house. What's the number one thing that I would need to have in place, at least to be better protected in terms of surges and things that could damage my computers and devices?
Yes. As I just told about these small shockings we have, it's very detailed. I don't want to tell this now, but in general, a grounding could be very helpful. This could be really very helpful, especially if you have your own house or if you have different computers and electronic stuff which you need to protect and to protect yourself. So, and I say it is very important that you check first what comes into the house, if it is possible. Check how much ampere you have. I mean, the fuses are just important. And then look where you plug it in. Sometimes if you plug it in, it makes like this. And this is already a problem. It can damage your computer. And this already is the number 1. Number 2, is it grounded? Number 3, what weather condition we have. If it is raining, if it is lightning, then I would switch off the computer or just to plug it out. It's even not enough just to switch off.
If it's only got 2 prongs, that it's not grounded.
It's not grounded. If you have only 2, it's not grounded. It's just the line or the phase and the neutral which comes back. So you can imagine you come from one highway and you go the other back. So it is just this and that's it. And exactly there is the problem. It goes to the laptop and it should go back. But if you have a problem, whatever kind it is, then it stops and then you are shocked or the laptop is damaged. It not needs a lot to damage.
So every property I've been in here in Paraguay that I've noticed, and definitely every property I've lived in, has only had 2 prong sockets. So if I'm renting, I'm obviously in a bit of a difficult situation.
Absolutely.
So I understand there are devices that you can obtain to protect you, but they're not cheap. Is that right? And I also understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that some people have devices that they think are protecting them.
Yeah, I know what you mean. These are called USB or USB, depends which language it is.
Yeah.
They protect you from not having power at all.
Right.
This is it, that you can switch off the laptop or whatever you're working with. There you have maybe 5, 10 or 15 minutes. It depends how big your USB is. But mainly it's just a battery. It's a battery with a transformer inside. This maybe, and if you are lucky, you bought it for very expensive, then you have a special surge protection. Sure. But this is expensive. I mean, it's expensive in blankets. This can help you then, but most of them have not. It's just to overcome maybe 5 minutes of having no power in the house or in the whole region. This is not what many humans think what it is. It's just not.
Yeah.
And it's not grounded. Check it. If you have already one, check it. You have 2 or you have 3. I'm sure you have only 2. And if you have more that you plug it in, you have then maybe 3. But what goes out? 2.
Yeah.
And this is not grounded. This is just not grounded.
The other thing that I often talk about when I look at houses is the widow makers in the showers.
Yes.
Now, you know, the name alone sort of makes me sort of suspect that there might be some history with these things.
Oh.
In addition to that, I have heard some stories. I personally have had no problems with them. Now, firstly, can I ask you, are they something that you need to be really, you know, concerned about? Are there remedies to be able to have one of them but still be relatively safe?
They are safe if the wires are not seenable, if the wires are not damaged, like that you can see the copper, and if it's everything properly done. And if you have one which is with metal, not just plastic around, then it's needed to ground them. Just from the same reason I just told, water up, power, bang, you know. And I see there in some places around, they're always damaged. They're always damaged. And they sell in the stores here these small wires which you can replace inside. So imagine somebody which have no clue, which takes them out, puts them in, and then makes something just wrong inside. It's really dangerous if it is not installed correct. It is really needed, and not take the cheapest. I mean, there are, again, different price ranges like with the USB. So, but in general, if the installation is done properly, then it's not a problem. And if this is another thing, you have an external switch off.
Right.
And it goes through what we just told about, to a special fuse, and it's grounded. I mean, at the end, this would be luxury to have grounded everything, to have a special surge protection, which I already told costs.
So is this the sort of thing you'd be able to help either me or someone else if they're in, say, this area? And I know in my property, I've got sockets that are falling out of the wall, and I've got a widow maker that I'm kind of a little bit sus about. So would you be able to come to my house and check that out?
Yeah, I definitely would check it out and to tell you what would be nice to replace or what is necessary to replace immediately. I mean, it's not everything needed to replace, you know. There are some stuff which are okay, and I want to blame nobody in Paraguay. I mean, I just can tell Switzerland 50 years ago was the same. What's exactly the same here? We had only 2 wires. Afterwards, it came only with this regulation. Okay, we need 3 wires to protect us, to protect our children, to protect animals, and our products. We work on it, you know. So, but definitely, it's possible to repair something if it happened. But check it out and don't touch it. If it's open already, it's too dangerous.
Yeah, man.
Because if the screws are not done well, it can happen. Or if you have an iron, just a simple thing, an iron. If on the plug something is not correctly in, from time to time it switches off. Bye-bye.
I think, at least I'll speak for myself, I've become really complacent about electricity because, you know, like really comfortable to the point where maybe I need to recheck my attitude towards it because, say, in the places where I've lived, you never heard of anyone getting electrocuted.
Exactly.
I don't know what the statistics are, but I'd hazard a guess that it probably is a lot higher than where I've come from.
it happens not that much.
Yeah.
This is what we think, just sometimes we hear about. But when I, as an electrician, check an installation, sometimes I'm really shocked and I'm wondering why it happened something before.
Yeah.
But if it happens, it's too late.
Yeah, man.
In general, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And just to underscore the issues, because you've not only got electricity, but you've got some really heavy downpours of water with some roofs that aren't entirely waterproof. And it just so happens that a few days ago I was messaging your son, and it just so happened that it was at the time that a storm was starting, and he was saying that water had got through the roof where you're living and had gone onto a device. And thankfully it didn't fry the device, but it easily could have.
This is exactly, here in Paraguay we have a lot of lightnings and the roofs are not protected.
Yeah.
We have no lightning protection, no, just to say it in a simple way, we have no cable or wire down from the roof to the ground.
Yeah.
This is also missed, and this together with the water can get to a big mess.
Say if I'm living in a rental property and I said, you know what, even though I'm renting this place, I want it to be properly grounded and sorted out.
Yes.
Could that be done for a reasonable price? I guess it depends on what the whole system, how it's set up, or...
I would definitely say it is possible, but maybe not the whole apartment. I mean, if there are many rooms, so it needs to be checked. But the best would be, okay, we go to check it out and we speak with the owner. Maybe the owner has an interest to change something for the future.
Because it just makes me think about people that move to Paraguay and they're working online. So
yes, there are many.
They're very much invested in their devices, not just in terms of the money that they've invested in them, but also for everything that's on those devices, you know. So we're talking about not an insignificant thing here. So I guess that it's something that if people are looking to come to Paraguay and rent a property, depending on what they do and the degree to which they're invested and involved with devices and things, they might be asking the question of a potential rental property, well, is your electrical system properly grounded? Is that something you would think people would need to think about?
Definitely they need to think about. I just had the speech with electrician from here, and I asked them how long you learn to compare with us. We did 2 years they learned, and I thought, where is the ground? Oh, we don't need. Why? Yeah, it's not used, it's not in the rules.
Yeah.
So if something is not in the rules, does not mean it is protected.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and especially what you just told is expensive stuff, you know.
Yeah.
There's many, there are digital nomads which are already here in Paraguay, and they really need to protect, and not just with the USB. I want to once again to tell this, it's not 100% secure. You need to be grounded. I just recommend it, because what is more simple, to make a grounding in some days, or I mean it's not easy some days, to make a grounding or to replace your equipment which you have to import maybe from another place.
Yeah.
I mean this would be, I mean this is what would annoying me when now my laptop is damaged just because I didn't want to ground it correctly, or to have a good plug or whatever, or to replace a small stuff, you know. It's not always needed everything to replace.
Yeah.
It's not needed everywhere.
Yeah.
It depends, this is important, what you want to protect. Do you want to protect yourself in the bath from the widow?
Yeah.
Or you want to protect in the kitchen?
The other thing I just wanted to ask you about is I often go to properties outside of the urban areas and they're single phase as opposed to three phase. Something that we don't generally have to deal with in a lot of countries that we live in. I've got a bit of an idea of what it's all about, but can you just explain to me and the viewers what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. I realized here that we have only one wire. I mean, one phase.
Yeah.
Usually these three phases.
Yeah.
And the rule in Paraguay says if you need more than 10 kilowatt, 10,000 watts in a house, then you need three phases. So, but what I'm wondering was, if I look outside of the main fuse, this is 30 ampere, it's very high, but there's only one wire. So they split it afterwards, of course, but it's not what they say in the rules. It's different. So if you have a lot of products which you need power, you have a fridge, you have a deep fridge, you have a wash machine, you have many computers, you have TVs, maybe you play an electric guitar, you have amplifiers or whatever, then you consume a lot of power. So, and then if you have only one phase, it is very fast that it's power off. It doesn't need, because it's not used at all. Machines are working together. It's not that. I think they think about this. But I can do nothing if they not want to bring these 3 phases. So this is when they make the big construction out of the houses or in urbanias, then they decide, okay, we make 1 or 3 phases. I mean, in the past they made also only 2. It's also possible, but it makes no sense.
Okay.
So, but in general, you have this 230 volt approximately. It's enough. But if you have a household with 5, 6 human, maybe not.
Yeah, right.
But I can do nothing if they don't deliver 3 phases. I can do nothing, or nobody else can do from electrician companies. They just cannot. If the government not brings in, or the state, or the Kakupe, for example, or Biribibuy, or whoever.
Because just for the information of people who haven't been here, it's common here in Paraguay that you will have areas outside of the urban areas that are only single phase. But they are upgrading these areas too, so that's good news that they seem to be in a process of upgrading the electrical system.
But just also that they are not scared about, oh, we have only 1 phase. It's not that problem. It's really not that problem, because it's not just used. 3 phase you need especially for big motors. They just need this. Or all the wash machines. They used 3 phases. But now they changed everything. Everything consumes much less power. So it's helping, of course. It's not the main thing just to have 1 phase.
And just talking about using less power, you also have experience with solar, is that right?
Yes, we installed solar.
And it's not something you see a ton of here in Paraguay because the price of electricity is quite cheap.
Yes, that's correct.
Have you had much of a look at the solar componentry here?
Yeah, I was very surprised that even there is so much sun, there is almost nothing here. I see it rarely, even for companies. This was much more in Asia, where I've been living also, is more used. But I think it is mainly for people, for human, they want to be independent. So if there is power off, okay, we have still power. The same as human, which make for water tanks, you know, it's the same. Or we have a pump on the ground. So this is, but of course, it's possible if we look in the future, we don't know what happened. So solar panel could be something, yes. But it's a complex system. You need batteries, you need inverter, you need the panels themselves. You need to know where to place and how much you consume.
And then they don't last forever, so you've got to add all that up, don't you?
I mean, the return of investment is not that long. It needs, of course, some years. It depends what products you use. But in general, from my view, I would do it. If I have the money for, if I have the property for, why not? Why not? We help to everything, and we are independent. I think this is a reason why many humans want to install also solar. It's just, okay, in Europe it's maybe a price question, or in countries which is just very expensive.
Well, saving lives is pretty important, but we're not far from the Asuncion Hotel, and I can hear a Pilsen calling me. Pilsen, for people out there, it's the local beer. Very nice, isn't it? You like Pilsen?
I like different kind of beer. I prefer wine.
Well.
But of course, in hot weather, best you can drink is a beer.
I love the Asuncion Hotel because they give you the big bucket with the ice and the whole thing. So it's...
I have never been there, but it's an experience.
Well, I think that we've got to get our priorities right. So we better go and have a beer. And then maybe we can talk about maybe looking at some of the dodgy wiring at my house, because I've got, there's one plug in particular. And it's just totally hanging out there. If a socket comes out, it's not good, is it?
It's definitely not good. It's the beginning of some very bad stuff that can happen there, you know? And then, I mean, I don't know, I don't see now under your head, but if you plug in, okay. So, but imagine somebody have a lot of hair.
I used to have hair like that. I must have been, I was getting electrocuted too much. So
maybe
it's fallen off.
you went behind the socket already. You never know. No,
Yeah,
it's dangerous. I mean, we are joking, but it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
Totally, man. And the other problem I've got at the moment, I've got some little cats in my house. Like,
Yes.
they're meant to be there. They're my cats. You know, they're running around chewing.
Yeah, but this is exactly something very important, as you say, because mouses or the mice, they damage wires.
Ah,
They and like this.
see.
They do this, and this can happen.
Well, thanks again, Ernesto, for bringing us up to speed on
Yeah.
electrical things here in Paraguay. Just another thing that we need to be aware of. It's one of those things because we've been so used to a certain standard all of our lives.
Exactly.
We come to somewhere like this. Most of us don't have a really good idea of what is actually going on with that stuff.
Yes.
So, if nothing else, you've enlightened some people about some of the things we need to be thinking about and maybe looking to upgrade or at least address when we either rent or buy a house here. It's really important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take a specialist.
See,
Not
man.
do it yourself.
No.
It's too dangerous.
No.
It's just too dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you want to change a lamp, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But even there can happen something.
Yeah, man. All right. Thanks, buddy, for the time.
Thank you, Adam.
And we'll have a link down below for a contact detail for you
Yeah,
if anyone
can do it,
wants to
yes.
reach out, get
Yes.
some advice about anything that's going on with
All
them. Okay.
So,
Well,
cheers.
thanks very much, man. Until next time, take care. Ciao.